Easy to dream and tell people of beautiful dreams. I mean, at the end of the rainbow, I mean, yeah, that sounds great. Try to go on a rainbow and go to the end of it. Go right ahead. Enjoy your ride. But spirituality, spiritual, two words that I deal with more than any other word at multiple levels, because we're trying to say we're more spiritual than we have ever been. Here's a question. People, if you come into this site and you start to listen, please don't hang up. Don't leave. Stay, listen. I promise you'll get something out of it. It might make you mad, might make you smarter, might make different things, but try to listen to it. Because I'm going to put everything you think you know on trial for yourself. Spiritual, what does it really mean? What time frame, where in history were we ever spiritual? Ever happened since the beginning of human races being on this planet was the time of Atlantis. Because in Atlantis there were 9 races, and they were psychic beings of they could do all the psychic abilities. The only difference was when the end was coming, they knew it. So 5 races left. All the other colors, the colors that aren't here now, like purple, blue, green, all those color races left. Yes, there was multiple colors. I think we're just white, yellow, black, and red. No, there was green. Then there was purple. I mean, I call them clear for crystal. So the idea that when we name colors, we think of those beings of that race, of those colors, each one has a god that came to this realm and stayed in the lower realm to help work with us. And just to give you a quick idea, if you're not following what I'm saying, Green Tara was a green being. Krishna was a blue being. So, I mean, if you look at the gods that mankind has worshipped and worked with, supposedly, there were different colors. And they were color of the races that left after Atlantis went down. I guess the ones that lost their abilities stayed here, which was all 4 races, trying to get it back. And today, they're so far from getting it back. You could take all the psychics together on this planet, put them together, they wouldn't equal to one of the psychics that lived in Atlantis. They could do anything in those days without doing something wrong to energy or to the planet. Big difference than today. Most psychics try to change something, try to prevent something, okay, we'll get into that because it goes into alien stuff and everything else as well. But the oldest recorded his story, meaning him, a man, that we never spiritual. When we sacrifice children, burn people at the stake. It's pretty sad because, go back, let's say people in the United States think they're spiritual. What was done in Bible times? They crucified it. Anybody caught doing any kind of Jesus' teachings were crucified. And it wasn't about praying, and it wasn't about wishing upon a star. And love was not the answer. It wasn't about love. They weren't killing people because of love. It wasn't anything pertaining to that. What's man say they want? Perfect relationship. To a man, what is a perfect relationship? And to a woman, what is a perfect relationship? Ask both of them and write it down on a piece of paper. You're going to see the differences. And there will be differences. And whoever wrote Men are from Mars, Women are from Venus, I think they were right on about them being separate entities. And women weren't taken out of the ribs of Adam. No way, no how. The Anunnaki didn't create man either. So those lies that people are accepting now is pathetic. To think you're going to try to tell people that it's real, and it started with Zecharia Sitchin, mainly about the Anunnaki and pushing that and making people really believe that whole concept. They want to forget about all the other deities. Deities are much stronger than the Anunnaki were. Or the reptilians, or the Greys, or the Nordics, or any of those races. The Andromedans, the Pleiadians, there's a lot of races out there. that have been trying to deal with planet Earth. But here's the thing. Think about religion, what man created, how it affects women in every religion at some level. Why is that? I mean, it was like when women got the right to vote. That wasn't about religion, even though people that were fighting it were religious. But every religion attacks women at some level. To become a priest, who become the preacher, the minister, the rabbi, or the pope. I mean, some things are changing a little. I mean, we got woman ministers now and things like that. But in the Catholic Church, the women aren't recognized. Only the one person that's anointing them and saying they are, is the one that's giving them the right to do it. So in its own makings, it's contradicting itself. Then we have how we killed the native people in the United States. Not we people did, all right? The North against the South, inside the United States. How they went out and killed the Quakers. They burned the witches. Man is a natural killing machine. So how many were really spiritual anywhere along the line? And now you've got speakers claiming, and I love to read their write-up of who and what they are. Master teacher. What's a master teacher? In psychic abilities and things like that. In master teacher, we get a master's degree pertaining to a subject that is like how to build a house, how to make two chemicals react with each other. But it has nothing to do with God or spirit or truth. Why is that? And then say, who's creating the idea of a master? The government. And how the government can grant amnesty to people and they're allowed to do anything they want. Kill people and then leave the country. Is that like, where's that fit into spiritual truth or being protective to the people that live here? Man likes to associate words like, say, God, Jesus, Moses, Buddha, Allah. I'll say a name, Thomas Ben Yaka. Well, he was the oldest Hopi elder in the United States. I met with him right before he died. And I was in a hotel room with him talking one-on-one. And he said to me, mankind's never going to be ready for what's happening. Which they're not. Because their head's anywhere except where it's supposed to be, on their shoulders. But the Hopi people were truly the only people that lived inside the United States that were never brought here. We got Mayan people saying that they brought the Hopi people here, which is a lie. Again, I spoke with the oldest Hopi elder alive who had the teachings in every which way, why they came out from underground and all those kind of things. Not like they were brought here on a boat or anything like that, like 500 tribes were, came from other directions. And there was a time when they could cross land to get here as well. But inside the United States, originally, was not more than one race. Sure, people are going to fight. People always want to be better or equal or not downplayed. But the Native people have had their time. It's gone. There's not enough Native people to take over to recreate their society. The only way they'll survive, which is what the government decided, they become part of this society, meaning white supremacy society. Even though they're not white in the white man's mind. So you see, not prejudice. Well, we can't be prejudiced to Muslims. We can't be prejudiced to Spanish people. But schools, everything was prejudiced to the Native people. Does it sound like anywhere in your dictionary you can put it in as far as being spiritual? Mr. Trumpo gave the rights for them to keep putting their pipelines through the native lands, and it started leaking only months after they did it, which is what the native people didn't want it there for. So who's right? Who's wrong? Who's spiritual? Who's not? Well, I don't want to break down religions and say who they were praying to, why they pray, what, this, that, and the other thing. You can figure that out if you want to do a little research in your life and spend a little time looking at things from a lot of different ways, not just the way you perceive it or were told the way you have to perceive it. Well, on the other note, in the UFO world, the people out there talking about aliens and being experiences or abductees or whatever, and they talk about the good aliens. You know, people say, well, there's good and bad people in the United States, good and bad people all over the world. No, we're not in that space. We're all the same. We eat animals that we slaughter and butcher in a really horrible way. We destroyed our planet. We toxify a lot of things. Even those health nuts that say, well, I don't do this and I don't do that. The air's contaminated. Their dirt's contaminated. Their food is contaminated. And they're not doing anything about it. They don't believe it. They want to block it out like it's not happening. Non-involvement doesn't make a spiritual person. Involvement does. Helping to change things. Jesus said, live by the laws of the planet. If they are unjust, change them. What about that is so hard to understand? Is there anything in that you can't perceive as what I'm trying to explain here? I hope you heard what I just said. Live by the laws of the land. If they are wrong, change them. So that's a real simple way to live life, and you should. No matter what the government tells you, no matter what people tell you, if you feel it's wrong, are you willing? Oh, I might lose my job. You probably will. People hate the truth, especially if somebody's making money on it, on the lie. They sure don't want to hear the truth. And I listen to all these videos, which are a pain in the butt. Oh, what fruit should you eat, and it'll make you be healthier. You got to listen to a half-hour, 45-minute video of this guy trying to promote something and then trying to sell you something in the end. Just tell me the fruit that you're saying is healthy. Just tell me the truth instead of giving me this lie and then trying to make me buy a product so that you can make money. That's what life's about. And I say this. If you have spiritual truth, you cannot charge for it. And I know in all my walks of religions and people, well, you have to make money. Well, you make money, but not off of God, not off of spirit. Make it off of your own hard work. Or the government's, but not God's, not spirits. Do the things that are right, but don't charge for them. A medicine man, pipe carrier, cannot charge anybody for a pipe ceremony. And they cannot say no to anybody for asking them to do one. When they pick up a pipe, they pick up that with that. And I was I was doing a workshop with, I'll say it, Christopher. He was the teacher of Sharman. Max Christopher. I was at a week with him, and there was a sweat lodge seminar going on for Sundance and all that. I wanted to go, but it was the same time, plus it was $500. But one of the women that was in our group was going to it. And when she came back and I listened to what she said, I was blown away. Charging $450 was wrong in the first place. Then he started talking about Jesus and everything else inside the ceremony. We don't mix religions in native or on any spiritual ground. If you're trying to say you're that, you don't mix it with anything else. If you're dealing with God, you don't bring in Jehovah. You don't bring in Lucifer. You don't bring in somebody else that's of a different aspect. Two religions are different. They have different beliefs, different God, different all that. Is God different? Well, God doesn't change ever. The only thing that changes is anybody's ability to understand it, which is very few on this planet will ever, sadly to say. If everybody knew in their heart of hearts that God existed and was truly watching over them, guess what? They would be different. If you knew you were playing with